I said it to you before, but you've got a really good feeling for lines. It's lovely. Direction is very clear. The ideas that you've got are very clear. It'll be good once again, without wanting repeating myself, but if you actually keep those ideas going a bit longer and not give into any sort of natural tendencies. First of all, the idea that you've got from the colour at the beginning, and you're starting off kind of a little bit more distant. I think in the edition that most of us have, there's a mezzo for everything there. Seems to me that you've decided to step a little bit away from that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So don't be too stressed out about the vibrato. Leave that for other stuff that comes later, and the second time it comes around, it suits what's happening in the accompaniment better.
Yeah.
You have a little bit more. Take it easy on the vibrato. Also the very end as well. Just taking the end, that's a good example, the very end passage. Got it? You're using a lot of harmonics at the end, which is lovely. Why not? Adapt the other notes, colour-wise, to those harmonics, yeah? So don't feel like you've got to shake the crap out of every note that's being stopped, yeah? So you're approaching, and you hit a lovely colour at the end. And with the harmonics that come later, that supports that idea, that supports that colour, that supports the texture, that supports that atmosphere a lot. So don't lose it on the stop notes. Don't think you've got to, because they don't go together.
Yeah.
But try and adapt there's a version where it goes actually an octave higher.
Yeah, I was testing it.
It's a lovely idea, and in fact I like this octave, the one that's written in most editions, but with the idea and the colour of the version when it's up the octave of all harmonics.
Yeah.
So I would suggest trying to achieve that, which it seems like you want to do in the beginning, and it seems like you want to do at the end, but in between you kind of get lost.
Yeah.
So when it hits that range, you just have to get a little bit of colour every now and then. Are you playing that one harmonic? So to adapt the stop notes, just perhaps wait a little bit with the vibrato. And generally, with stop notes, again, less hair, more bow speed, and that will achieve a closer to the colour. And try to keep it also dynamic. Once again, don't give in to any natural tendencies of the bow. Really use your ears, don't forget what the bow's doing, but fight against what the bow's doing. Use your ears to judge, to force the bow. Like you've got this colour, you've got this, don't worry about lifting out. You've got this sound, you've got this colour, you've got this atmosphere. Force that idea onto the bow. Yeah? Make him do it. Now you're doing it the way I've got it in my head, and that's it. Yeah? And if anything pops up, we can work out how to get that technique with it. If you want to just try that bit, also perhaps to come into it from the contrast before, perhaps from the dynamic, from the fortissimo. Same sort of colour. I was doing a rehearsal with Heinrich Schief. He was conducting, unfortunately, and he's a great musician. Really, he's a great musician. And he said that what was it? He wanted this kind of colour. Where it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if not every note speaks. And he said that sort of sound where it always sounds like you're going to break into tears and the voice is fluttering ever slightly. And you're trying to compose yourself when you're talking, but it's really hurting you inside. And then he turned around and he said, and by the way, if you ever want to break up with a woman, this kind of voice is very useful. But that's the... passage there that's coming up later, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah? So do you want to just try from a little before that, just to get that contrast?
That bit you went on.
Yeah, that's probably the best for the contrast.
Yeah. That's the second.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got it all separate. That would work well because then you can use lots and lots of bass. Sorry. Yeah, I'm orchestral tuning, he's solo tuning. Yeah? Just try that. More and if you would leave way out. Yeah? Try that. When you weigh up the fingerboard, now you've got to, yeah, okay. Once more with the piano, perhaps directly from there. Lots of fun. Exactly. Stay in that dynamic, stay in that colour. The lovely direction that you had beforehand. So there's a slightly direction towards it. But it's not about dynamic, it's just about direction. Yeah? Just once more. And take your time to the G. A little bit more time up there. Okay? That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So don't once you've achieved that lovely colour, don't run away. I mean, leaving these huge bulges and lots of vibrato on that stop. That's a similar approach at the very beginning because you want to take it from a slightly more distant atmosphere, but not as extreme as here, so that you don't sell the idea completely. Just give it a sort of an idea of that that's going to happen. So this is kind of. The ending is kind of sentimental, looking back on life. The beginning is naive, uncorrupted, and getting ready for life, as if this movement was sort of one sort of life experience. So try the similar idea. Don't shoot the crap out of it with the left hand. Just a little bit here and there, a little bit more bow speed, which you did basically. All you need to do now is just actually reduce what you're doing with the left hand. And bring in the left hand slowly over the whole passage, meaning until you get to the, that's all one phrase, okay? So you bring in the vibrato more and more and more and more and more. Obviously at that climax. use your left hand, and of course with the dynamics, and don't bring it in too early. Yeah? You want to just try the very beginning, his entry? And that makes it very difficult in solo playing up in the higher register. We actually need two bows. So you started off lovely, the idea of rubato, but you can actually carry that on more and more and more throughout this whole middle passage. Then you've got more time for when you get up high. Move it on. That gives you time to bring that up more. And do the same thing, and then even more the next line. So if you speed it up a little bit more in the more unimportant bits, then you've got more time for those things. Basically, all I'm saying is that the idea that you had in the first 1, 2, 3 bars is great. Carry that idea on and see where you can do it even more of it. Yeah. Okay? Do you want to try from the beginning of that 16th does it? Here, for example, would be one example. There's lots of possibilities. Yeah? Yeah. So these little in between are probably more time. You're doing it great in the first 3 bars, but then you're leaving this at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah? Try it once more. And then back. You've got a big long climb now.
Yeah.
Yeah? So from that, go from that climax, that when it goes up to the D, yeah? But the two semiquavers that you have before that bar, where it's got a written E, I think in the climax, yeah? But with the two semiquavers, so you can broaden that bar out, and then you catch it up in the next bar. And then again move it on to the each other.
Yeah.
So you're basically taking much longer measures in which to use the rubato. Right? So they're more like 3-bar measures rather than just 1 bar. Yeah?
Yeah.
Same spot. Is that a bad spot? It's always a bad spot, but let's go from there anyway.
Yeah, from the start.
The bar before, from the. I've always had some music with it. From the bar before the octaves.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Do you need to go from earlier?
No, I'm good now.
Yeah? Don't look at me. Don't look at me. The answer's there.
Yeah. So.
Do it again. From that bar?
That D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bar number.
Or is it E, so
Yes.
feels longer than me.
And then, once again, apologies on my tone low, but I'm not going to transpose in front of an audience. To get a warmer sound, separate here. Not think about that. But it's about a colour that might be a little bit more useful and actually helps to create more tension over the whole phrase. So actually, where it's not that loud, I'm separating, but to get more, to get a fuller but not as an intense sound. Yeah. So it's. Now I'm going to the painful. So like I'm actually forcing myself to be in pain by actually not dividing up the volume to get that across that I'm in pain. just exaggerating the idea. So there, in actual fact, there you use the slurs to get the, you know, that sort of, when you're on the ground and you want to scream and cry, but you just can't get it out, yeah? That sort of sound, yeah? Before it's a little bit more beautiful, and that's why I'm elbow beforehand. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, we can try it once more from the long.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from the after the ridodando, there's a sounding A, B natural, yeah. From there, and lots of bar and sweet and sweeter sounds, yeah. And then we'll get into the intensity later. So from your after the ridodando, yeah. Na. It's a G. Yeah. Okay. G.
Okay.
Yeah. You've got great contact with the string. It's a great sound when you get into it as well. You're using a lot of interesting detail when it comes to articulation, which is also wonderful. My main point right now would be more or less just how to incorporate that into longer phrases so that we're not too much concentrated on the smaller details and have more of an idea of what's coming up next, what's more important. Yeah? It's all about working out the hierarchy of the longer phrase and which things are more important to you. As you know, every piece, every movement is one big long phrase made up of smaller, longer phrases, made up of even smaller and even smaller phrases. One of the issues, and that happens also very much in the beginning, is there's a little bit too much focus on these very, very small sub-phrases. And the detail is fantastic. It's just about incorporating it into the hierarchy of a bigger phrase. And the same thing with your contact, this wonderful fat sound when you get into it. Also not getting there too early or having that too sudden. There's a lot of times you find it's actually breaking up the phrase a little bit too much by being too early and then dropping back again and then being too early into that thick sound that you're getting. So we're more drawing it out over longer periods of time so we've felt more led through the forest in a gentle fashion rather than but it's I mean, all of the detail is fantastic. Like I said, it's just about incorporating it into the hierarchy of the longer phrase, which in the best sense would be the whole movement. Yeah, which edition are you using? Is that the Tomf edition? Yeah, it's the Tomf edition. Okay. There's just one thing with that first semiquaver passage when it goes back down. That is true, that is the original. Yeah. I'm not sure, Damien, if you were to do that in audition in Australia, would you use that version or what's your experience?
In Australia, I don't think it particularly matters.
Yeah. I just know in Austria where I teach and work, they're used to the version where it just keeps going right up the octave. But I can't criticise that at all because that's actually the original octaves. Just the beginning, the very beginning. What have you got there? Yeah, okay. You've separated the first three crotchets. So the first minim and the next two crotchets. Just, I thought it doesn't really matter which bowing you use, but I thought that we could get a little bit more of direction if we try perhaps to go more legato approach to the whole thing. So you might want to consider using the bowing that Tomfa suggested. And this one, the G, you played it really long. I think it's a lovely touch, but I would prefer that when all three notes are of the same character, just increasing towards the G. Or, the other possibility if you wanted to use that version of top two. Yeah? Perhaps playing the second quaver, being the E, also a little bit longer, so it's got more direction. So then you could do that, but the E. That upbeat quaver, the G, sticks out way too much out of the phrase, I think, and it's taking away the importance of what's coming later. I would go for just a more bell-like sound, each note having the same quality, just increasing towards the which is kind of the version I prefer, but it's just all about, you can do that with all separate bows as well, what you're doing. But just to have that first bar leading to that first suspension, that's what it is, just with a bit of ornament in between. Yeah? So just think about that as the very first subphrase so that none of the notes stick out too much before you've actually hit that first little minor point. Do you want to just try that for the beginning? Perhaps for the piano, can we go straight in? Don't disappear right away, don't disappear right away, keep it there. That would be the first point where you would just phrase off a little bit, but don't disappear immediately after that. And just once again the first bar, really think about it leading each note a part of the hierarchy towards the next bar. Yeah, that nothing's really sticking out unnecessarily. Once more. Now what's happening is I'm exaggerating now. Just try and get you can still do it if you separate all the notes, that's not the point. I think you're compensating with the open G too much that it doesn't stick out too much. It's disappearing too much. Make it all part of one long line. Okay, but then once you've hit the next bar, then you have to phrase off a little bit. That's wherever you're heading to, then afterwards just ever so slightly phrasing up a little bit. Because after this, nothing more is important. Is for me a little bit too, it doesn't have enough sway, it doesn't have enough momentum. Just ever so slightly. You can actually not play that note and the audience would still hear it. Yeah? Which is unfortunate. Keep the direction going. Just the phrasing and the direction you take, I think, shouldn't really influence the dynamic. It's all a part of the same dynamic. It's all a nice singing, full voice, full lungs forte, not aggressive, of course. And all of the direction you take is within that dynamic. So don't let it drop down too much, because once again, the dropping downs is just as much of an interruption to the longer phrase as the ones that stick out too much. It's the same effect. Yeah. So work out. You've got 3 points. That's the first gesture. Be the next gesture. Be the third gesture. Would be the next gesture. Okay. So you've got 4 or 5 little gestures that are all part of one longer phrase. Which one would be the most important to you in the beginning, for example? Now? Which one would you consider for you to be more important? But ever so slightly more important, very subtle. I mean, you could go, it's just an opening gesture, and then now, you could think, exactly. So perhaps after that first 2 bars, the next gesture not quite as important as the gesture after that, so that it all has that leading feature right to the very end of the phrase. Do you want to try it? Yeah. So that would be. Do you want to try that? From the beginning? idea at the time, yeah? But considering what's going on all around it and the direction we want to take over the whole piece, I think it's a little bit too much detail. It's giving me too much attention to these little short moments. I mean, as an interpreter, we're always involved in the moment, yeah? But we have to learn to stand aside ourselves, be involved in the moment. Emotion is great, ideas are great, detail is fantastic. But at the same time, at least when you're practicing, being able to stand aside, like a multiple personality, and be the analytical kind as well, and say, well, is that serving the longer phrase, actually? Or is it bringing in too much focus to the moment? I would keep them all more or less the same quality. I would take the first, if you want to do that, the first of those semiquavers a little bit longer, but not louder. Yeah, that's making too much of a big deal of it. But then the second time I wouldn't do it, because then you're doing two things in the same way. Yeah? Which is, yeah, it's a little bit too much in the face, and there's not enough guidance through the piece. Yeah? So try and do that a little bit less. The first semiquaver being, if you want to do that, don't do it too much, and certainly not too much emphasis. And the next one, when you drop down the octave, the top two before you drop down the octave, not at all. So that you've got one long line. Exactly the way that you did that wonderfully here with the legato line. Yeah? It was just one big long phrase. That's great. Exactly the same thing here I would do. Or the same idea, and not breaking it up by playing the middle note extremely long again. Yeah? Wherever you feel most comfortable. Have you looked through it does appear in this edition, the original manuscript.
Oh, yeah.
There's no dynamics at all. Yeah? So this is just so I think it's hitting the maximum point too early. I think it would be there, more or less. So you use the direction of, as you do in lots of other places, longer, more detail and articulation without having to use dynamic too much. You sort of tend to hit it full on right away. Yeah? Don't be quite there and use the articulation. That means each quaver ever so slightly a little bit longer, which is a good idea with this kind of music when you've got 4 repeated notes. To use that for direction. Use the articulation for direction rather than too much the dynamic. And certainly not too loud too early. Another possibility you've got beforehand is yeah, you've got a possibly an echo there. That would suit the music quite well there. And once again, don't emphasize with dynamics too much that phrasing. Try and keep the idea of dynamics and phrasing separate. Yeah? Sorry, this one. We don't need that in our faces so much. It's just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Direction without accents and too much emphasis, and certainly without dynamics, or within the same dynamic. Perhaps from there, I think it just comes out a little bit too mannered. You know, if I'm hearing every single little bit of dynamic and emphasis that you're doing in the notes, oh, he's doing a little bit of emphasis on the E, oh, he's going there. For me, it's already too much. Yeah. Keep it simple. Yeah? Direction without in-your-face dynamics or accents, actually. Yeah? It's enough. This upposing is really working for you there, with the semichorus. This one. You're starting with an up, how are you getting there? Yeah, but it's not. I actually, the version that I learned from my teacher, which is, it's not original, but it's partly because this was written for different tuning. You realise that. So these are all in one position. These harmonics. It's all over 3 strings. Yeah. That's what the version that I learned, just as a matter of interest, is actually just all separate because of that, because of the clarity. Yeah. But if you want to do it all slow, which is original, it's great. This is partly the reason why the version of all of the separate notes. Yeah, because it comes out a little bit clearer. But it doesn't have to be. In this case, you need to work on the precision with the string changes. It's just that they're not precise enough. You're not hitting each string as precisely. Try not to. I think you might be forcing the dynamic a little bit too much, and that's also crushing the sound and making it difficult to be clear. Yeah. That's the clarity you want, even if you want to push it up a little, a notch with the dynamics, but that's what you're looking for. Huh? So I think the up bow is getting back to the frog is forcing it into the instrument a little bit more, losing clarity, and then you stay there with that dynamic and deep into the string. So I'd try that a little bit further away from the frog. You've got more control that way. And don't push the dynamics so much so that you've got a chance for more clarity. And then once you've got that clarity and precision in the string changes, then you can start working on possibly getting a little bit more dynamic. But let's go also with that idea that I mentioned towards the end of the phrase. And go all the way to the next bar rather than being too early with the dynamic beforehand, and use the quavers, a different articulation with the quavers to get more direction, that being each quaver a little bit longer and the very last quaver completely.